Hey, what's up, Rattlers? So the breeding season has just begun, but sometimes things don't go according to plan, like this girl right here. So this is a ghost Stillwater bull snake. She's already laid 4 eggs, but look what's happening here. She is definitely egg-bound. Now there is a couple of things that we can do for this snake before I call the vet. It's Sunday today, so I can't call the vet and have her rushed in. But there's a couple of things that I can do to try to rectify this situation here at home before we have to rush her in for emergency surgery.
I'm Dāv Kaufman and I am obsessed with reptiles. So come with me and join my Reptile Adventures.
At Rainbow Mealworms, we grow all our insects 100% naturally so that you get the freshest, most lively feeders on the market. So for all your reptile food needs, place your order today at rainbowmealworms.net.
So there are a couple of home remedies that you can do if your snake is ever egg-bound. Come into your bathroom here and fill up the bathtub with warm water. And give her a soak in the bathtub so that she can move around on her own, and hopefully that can loosen things up. Alright, so that's just about finger-high water. That'll be just perfect. The water is nice and warm, and now I'm going to go get the snake and hopefully this works. So just a note, before you put your snake in the bathtub, make sure to clean that bathtub out really well. There's soap scum, shampoo scum. You don't want that mixing up in the water because she's going to ingest that water as she's sitting here soaking. Also, that can really irritate her skin, so make sure that before you soak your snake in the bathtub, make sure to get rid of all of that soap scum and really clean out that bathtub before you put your snake in. So this is not her normal enclosure. What I do with my females is I will take them out of their regular enclosures and put them in this rack, and I will turn the entire tub into a lay box. And I will use really moist cocoa blocks like this because this simulates a more natural substrate for these snakes to lay their eggs in the wild. They're laying their eggs in moist, rotten logs, and this really kind of moist cocoa blocks really simulates where these snakes are laying their eggs in the wild. So she's already laid 4 eggs, and they were good eggs, and I've got those down here already in our incubator here, but come on, sweetheart. Oh, she is so uncomfortable. We're gonna get you in the bathtub here. Alrighty, girl. There you go. So the idea behind this is that the warm water and her swimming around in the tub is gonna hopefully loosen up whatever is twisted down there, and then she's just gonna lay the egg here. That egg obviously won't be any good, but it'll loosen up what's ever happening here, and in the best case scenario, she is going to hopefully be able to lay the rest of her eggs in a best case scenario. If not, in the morning, I'm going to have to rush her to the vet. And now I'm going to sit on my favorite seat in the house for about 35-45 minutes and diligently work on my book while I keep an eye on her. Die, you pigs. Get back in there, girl. Get back in there. There you go. There you go. Oh, that's a good Maddie. I know you want to help with the snake. Such a good pups. Wants to be a good helper. You gotta stay out here though. Alright, look guys. We have something coming out of the cloaca there. So she is, oh. Come on, baby, come on, you can do it. Alright, well that smells just about as good as it looks. Come on, sweetheart. How you doing in there, sweetheart? Alright, so I've given her a soak for about 35 to 45 minutes now. So she obviously didn't pass those eggs in her soak, but hopefully that soak loosened things up a little bit so that she will be able to pass these normally on her own. Fingers crossed, but I'm going to just leave her alone for now, and hopefully in a couple of hours when I check on her again, we're going to be pretty happy here. Well, good morning, guys. So I just checked on her. I got up about every couple of hours last night just to check on her to make sure that everything was fine, and it just never was. And then this morning, she just is not doing better. She looks exactly the same as she did last night after the soak. This is not good, and at this point, if I even wait another day to see if she's going to improve, she might not, and she might get worse. So I have called the vet and set up an emergency appointment, and right now I've got to bag her up and rush her to the vet. So I just dropped her off at the vet, and I found this little parking lot out of the way. The vet is about an hour away from my house, so I'm going to sit in this parking lot all day long and wait until I hear from Dr. Kaiser here. No big deal. I've got my iPad. I'm going to diligently work on my new book. All right, fine, I'm going to play Angry Birds. But anyway, because of the coronavirus and all of the restrictions, because of that, I can't go in to actually film any procedure that Dr. Kaiser is going to do, but I've asked her to ask one of the nurses if maybe they can, take some photos or film on their cell phone so that at least we can get a glimpse of it. But for now, I'm just going to sit here and work on my book and wait until Dr. Kaiser calls. So, it's not good. She's taken x-rays to see what's going on inside the snake, and it is really, really not good. Apparently, what happens is that there's a couple of ways that snakes can get egg-bound. What I thought was happening is that there was a twist in the oviduct, and the eggs were butting up against that twist, and therefore she couldn't lay her eggs. Now, the oviduct is, think about it like a little sock, and that's where the eggs pass through from the ovum into the, out of the cloaca. And that tube, it's really, really thin, and it's really, really fragile. But that tube where the eggs pass through is called the oviduct. And what, again, I thought happened was that oviduct somehow was twisted. When snakes are laying their eggs, they make a lot of different muscle contractions. And sometimes, unfortunately, these things can happen and that oviduct gets twisted. Well, the x-rays that Dr. Kaiser just sent me reveal something much more serious than just a twisted oviduct. And you can see by these arrows that these eggs are still in the oviduct, and that's exactly how it should look for a female that is gravid or pregnant and is about to lay eggs. But take a look at this dark patch right here, and that's where we have a serious problem. And you can see by these arrows that these are 3 eggs that are bunched up, and that's what's causing that body swell, but we can now tell from these x-rays why she couldn't lay these eggs. So in the second x-ray that Dr. Kaiser sent me, this is a top view, you can see the snake's spine there, but here you get a really good look at that problematic dark area. And these x-rays reveal what the real problem here is. So unfortunately, what these x-rays reveal and what Dr. Kaiser just told me is that somehow as she was laying that 5th egg, she made so many muscle contractions that she actually tore through the wall of the oviduct and was actually laying those eggs within her body cavity. So we now know that me soaking her last night probably gave her some relief, but it really did nothing to cure this problem. If I hadn't rushed her to the vet today, unfortunately, now that we know what we know, she'd probably die a very painful, awful death within a couple of days. She literally was laying eggs inside her body cavity because, again, that oviduct, that thin membrane, was ripped. Dr. Kaiser was booked today, so she fit me in, and she's actually going to do the surgery over her lunch hour because she knows as well as we do now that this snake absolutely needs emergency surgery to save her life, and that Dr. Kaiser is doing this. This is why Dr. Amy Kaiser is a rock star. This is why I am so thankful to have a vet like Dr. Amy Kaiser. So I just got off the phone with Dr. Kaiser again. The surgery went absolutely perfect. Mama snake is recuperating. She got all the eggs out. I think she said there was 4 sutures that she had to go in on the side of the snake and actually make incisions to get all of those eggs out of her. But the good news is that Dr. Kaiser got one of her nurses, Emily Smith, to actually film and take some photos of us. But I'm going to warn you, I just saw these and they're pretty graphic, but this is what the surgery looked like. So yeah, she has had a really rough day, but I am so thankful that Dr. Kaiser could give up her lunch break to perform surgery on this snake. I do want to mention that sound in the video that you heard, that row, 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 coming from the machine, I can't really make the sound, but I think you guys know what I mean. It's actually, Emily told me this, that's actually called a Doppler, and that sound is the sound of the snake's heartbeat. So when they hook, humans up to, all the machines and whatever, when they get surgery and you see the heartbeats on the graph, they don't do that with the snakes. They actually listen to the snake's heartbeat to ensure that everything is fine with the snake while the snake is in surgery. So we have some really good news. The snake is doing just fine. I'm rushing back to the vet right now to pick her up, and I'm going to take her directly home. All right, so I just picked her up. I'm going to set her here. I've got all the medication I need to give her, but they did wind up saving the eggs. So I have the eggs right down here. I'll show them to you real quick here. So I actually brought an egg box and put the eggs that they took out of her in the egg box. It's going to be a miracle that these guys are going to hatch, but in the off chance that these are miracle babies, I'm going to take these home and I'm going to put them in the incubator. Hopefully they're going to hatch, but I don't think they're going to. Again, they could be miracle babies. We'll see. So I'm going to let her recuperate in this Freedom Breeder ball python rack because obviously I keep the ball pythons warmer than I do the colubrids, and I want her to have that added heat because that's going to help with her recovery. So what I've done is I've gotten all of the cocoa blocks out of here because I don't want any of those fibers to irritate those stitches. And I've just put a thin layer of paper towels down, and I want to keep her as dry and as comfortable in this ball python rack as I can. So I've put on my gloves because I don't want anything that could have been on my hands to accidentally kind of touch those sutures. All right, let's get you in there. Come on, sweetheart. There we go. Oh, baby, you've had a rough couple of days, haven't you? But as you can see, no more lumps, no more eggs. So there are the sutures there and there. And she had 4 incisions. And that's where Dr. Kaiser had to go in and take the eggs out. So, yeah, there you go. Get some rest. You've had a really rough couple of days. So she's obviously going to make a mess out of these paper towels. So a couple of times an hour, I'm going to come in and I'm going to change those. You can see that she's gotten some blood over here. But come on, sweetheart, there you go. So right now, I'm just gonna let her sleep on that heat, and then I'm gonna continue to change those paper towels out several times an hour here. But for now, I just want her to sit on that heat and rest. All right, guys, so it's 2 weeks later. She's doing just fine. She's taking her injections like a champ. Usually when you give snakes injections, they wiggle around and they protest and whatever. She took them like a champ. How you doing, Mama? Come here. Oh, you're looking good. So as you can see, she's gone into shed. So having surgery is obviously a shock to your body, but what a snake deals with that when they believe that they're injured is that they'll go immediately into shed. So I have an appointment with Dr. Kaiser today so that she can see how she's healing here. And hopefully today is the day that she'll get her stitches out, but we'll have to see what Dr. Kaiser says when she takes a look at her. So it's a couple of days later. She did shed. She looks just beautiful. I took her into Dr. Kaiser to, have her take a look at those sutures. Maybe she could get them out, but Dr. Kaiser wants to keep them in just to make sure that she really heals up from those sutures. So I'm going to go back in after this video is already posted and take out those sutures. So be sure to like my Instagram and also check that community tab on my channel, and I will post updates of how she's doing. But just look at how well she's healing up. She looks so much better now. As you can see, she has great body weight, very active tongue flick. She's very alert. Whew, this snake is going to make it. All right, so I'm just gonna set her back in here. There you go, sweetheart. But once again, she's looking great. Those stitches are healing up. I'm just gonna let her be in here and sit on that heat. There you go, sweetheart. So one of the things that I haven't told you guys yet is that this isn't my snake. This snake is actually owned by Kevin Krug in Wisconsin, and she's been lent to me on a breeding loan to breed with one of my flame bulls, which is a really high red stillwater bull snake. And again, this was her first time breeding. Those babies would have been awesome. I have those miracle eggs, hopefully miracle eggs, in the incubator, but I will tell you right now that a couple of weeks after her surgery, they're not looking too well. So I'm going to post updates on those on my community tab and Instagram as well. But, you know, for me, it doesn't matter if this isn't my snake or not. When a snake is brought into my family, I treat that snake as if it is a member of my reptile family, and I'm going to treat that snake with the same kind of care that I would treat any one of my other reptiles here. And, you know, the near $1,000 that it costs to bring her into surgery, that doesn't matter. What matters to me is that I know how much Kevin and his mom Gail love this snake. But this snake, she's never going to lay eggs again. She can never be bred again. So I know, again, how important this snake is to Kevin and his mom Gail. And what I've basically done here, and what makes all the difference to me, is that I know that by me recognizing what was happening and immediately jumping on it instead of waiting a couple of days to see what was going to happen, if I did that, the snake would be dead by now. And so by jumping on it and bringing her to the vet and rushing her into emergency surgery, what basically I've done is I've ensured that Kevin will have his beloved snake back, and that she is going to live for another 20 years, hopefully, as Kevin's pet. And that is worth more than any of the effort, any of the money that I've spent to ensure that this snake will now go on to live a long and happy life. And that is really all that's important to me. So anyway, guys, again, check out my Instagram. I'm going to post updates on her. Check out that community tab on my channel. Also check out our sponsors. Their links are in the description. I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Dr. Amy Kaiser and all the staff at Lexington Pet Clinic. You guys are rock stars, and you guys are really the ones who actually saved this snake's life. So anyway, guys, until the next adventure, love the planet, feed your reptile obsession, and rattle on.